Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check. Happy Friday, guys. Today's show is brought to you by BB, and a reminder, as always, that there is no second best daily YouTube live stream to talk about markets. I'm Tommy, or Snorlax, just depends on the day, it seems, but I'm joined by Max and shortly probably Louis as well. Welcome, guys. It has been another week. But relax, you have made it through looking back on what will probably be one of the most event-driven weeks of the entire year. So if you survived, congratulations. It seems like you've made it through the most difficult part of the month, of the quarter, and everything else in between. But we're definitely going to cook up some delicious meals alpha for you guys today. Sorry, I'm a little stuttering. I'll just blame Friday on it, but either way, guys, I feel like we're seeing the things that we want to see from the market thus far over the last 2 or 3 days, right? And we'll definitely talk about that dynamic on stream today. The theme of majors leading, right? Bitcoin, ETH, and Solana taking the reins from the rest of the market, and of course, equities. And of course, equities looking incredible as well. But before we can start cooking up that big juicy alpha, by the way, Louis, is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Yeah.
Before we can start cooking up that big juicy alpha, one, I had to ask that question, but also the second question I'm going to ask, you guys already know. Can you please smash that like button for us? We'd be so appreciative. And like I said, you all have made it through likely the most event-driven week of the entire year. So congratulations. Today is a day to celebrate and reflect, I think, on the week that was, and of course, what will be moving into the end of the year, and of course into Q1, which we expect to be overwhelmingly positive for markets. But if you guys can do your part and smash that like button, we would be very, very appreciative. But let's talk about markets. It's like I highlighted about a minute ago. I think that it's an overwhelmingly positive thing and aspect of the current market that we are seeing. I look at my watch list, Bitcoin, ETH, and Solana, all green. And most of the altcoins on my watch list are kind of a mixed bag. I would say a majority of some of the large cap meme coins are actually red today, which I view as a positive for reasons that I will continue to state. We need to pump majors, make people rich, and they will move down the risk curve. And I'm sure you could point to an on-chain token or another shit coin at any given point that's outperforming majors. Like, oh yeah, well, my bag is outperforming Bitcoin, ETH, or Sol today. Like, great. I'm very happy for you. Right now, I'm talking directly about the assets that are heavily correlated to majors, largely because of they both, they all kind of trade on exchanges. Maybe it's like a leverage-induced correlation. But regardless, it's a good thing to be seeing liquidity sucked up by the largest cap assets in crypto, because eventually that will bleed over and have a wealth effect on all of our bags. So I just wanted to highlight that this morning. That, I think, is the most notable bit of price action from crypto thus far today. Obviously, ETH and Bitcoin have kind of already given their moves over the past 2 or 3 days. Will they give more into the end of the week? I think that's a great question. And of course, the age-old questions about who is going to lead the market, Bitcoin, ETH, or Sol. And I know that every camp within this debate will always vigorously defend their position. So we'll see what the market does. But like I also said, I think equities look absolutely phenomenal. The NASDAQ is, I guess the NASDAQ is red on the day, which is somewhat surprising because Tesla is up 6%. I want to talk about Tesla a little bit more today. I know we touched on it yesterday, but I do think that that's an asset that's setting up for a probably rapid appreciation higher. I want to talk about probably that new push-pull that could form between Tesla and the AI narrative. Now that there seems to be kind of some new narratives worth bidding in the equity market. But I just think as a whole, the entire market is just ridden with opportunity at the moment. I think whether or not you're an on-chain person, whether you're trading perps, there's a lot of volatility in this market currently. and it is ripe to be taken advantage of. But I'd love to know what you guys are thinking. What are you seeing in the markets, and how you feel about the fact that you're seeing majors suck up so much liquidity this morning?
I love it, man. I absolutely love it. Like you said it perfectly. It is ultimately the healthiest thing for this market. If we can just let majors bid without absolutely like ignoring, like it's been a problem where all of our like ETH will move up like 1%, and then everyone, instead of bidding ETH, they bid their shit coins, and then they pump, and then ETH sells off, and it's like we can't really get like the snowball going. You know, the best thing for this market is for Bitcoin to chad to 85K and Bitcoin dominance to go higher, or at least put up a fight here. And then ETH gets dragged up to 3,500 and Sol gets dragged up to 215, 220. And the market, like all the other shitters, just kind of sit there. They move a little bit, but they don't catch a big pump. And then when majors chill out, then you get that shitcoin rotation, the one that you really want. So, I mean, I love it, bro. Like I'm euphoric that ETH is moving here. And ETH is actually outperforming a lot of ETH beta right now, which is absolutely ideal. Because if you want to have that multi-month snowball effect where it's not PvP, where it's not like, oh, I'm up 20 grand, I got to try to sell, and then you dent the chart with like a tiny order on some of these shit coins, you need that on-chain wealth effect. You need the L1 in which we really value and denominate our shit coins in to appreciate and value tremendously. Like, this game will get so much easier for you and your shit coins and your communities, which are beloved, if ETH can double here. Like, if ETH can go back above 4K and flirt with price discovery, the entire game changes. Like, the amount of on-chain liquidity that you're going to have is, I mean, you're not going to recognize the conditions, you know? You won't be asking who's selling anymore. You're going to be like, who are all these new buyers coming in, right? It just changes everything, right? And we haven't had that PvE condition yet where you can really feel like the liquidity and the interest and like the on-chain froth heat up. We had like a little tiny window of it, right? Like when ETH was doing this right here, you had a little sample of, you know, PvE. You had a little sample of like that real on-chain froth. You know, Pepe rallied hard. Of course, my favorite, Bobandy, Fee-Fi Fo-Fandy rallied hard, right? Like, you had a little sample, but you didn't really have 6 months of it. You had like 2 months of it maybe. And it went right back to PvP really quickly, okay? So the best thing that we can possibly have happen is for ETH to just beeline it up. You know, just absolutely rip up, lead the market. But I mean, look, I'm looking at this going, yeah, this is the same thing that we've seen before. I mean, this is, you know, this is it. 230 plus days of ranging and bullshit. And you know, we're basically doing the same thing right here. And in my opinion, you know, you're probably going to start your next markup phase here pretty soon, because we talked about this before. But when you break down, like, you know, underneath this really obvious level, yeah, the chart looks cooked. But we also talked about how it doesn't matter because ETH is going to get dragged up by proximity to Bitcoin, being the second largest crypto asset. So now everybody that shorted in this range or sold in this range is toasted. Now they either have to buy back in or they're going to get squeezed out. So it's the same thing, in my opinion, as what happened over here. Anybody that's shorted or sold right here, this is what happens. Then they have to buy back in, right? So that's what's going to start happening, is you're going to have to start buying back in and chasing as it goes higher. Because now we're set up for like the best TO3 ever. So what's up, Louis?
Yep. A tale as old as time. Fudding at the lows, chasing higher. chasing higher and pushing our market higher. Yeah, I mean, I love this comparison, and if people, who were following along when the market checks, I was pointing out the similarities to that low that we had to the left there, where we kind of tagged the lows 3 times in a row and went to where we were now. Showed comparison on the RSI, showed that we had a breakout, a retest, and that price would follow, and that's exactly what we're seeing. So people that have been following along and paying attention should have been prepared for something like this. And that's the kind of the value that comes with coming on this show consistently is, you would have been hearing me talking about, ETH probably the lows are probably in here. We're seeing it under the hood on the RSI, ETH sentiment, all-time lows. It's such a great indicator. I mean, sentiment's hard to gauge, right? But when you see everyone, even the people that have been long ETH and just trying to, kind of stick with it for the past 8 months, finally flipping and saying, screw ETH, I'm going over to Sol. That's that kind of capitulation sentiment low I've also mentioned on this show, right? And that's just a recipe for just an absolute face ripper to the upside and a catch-up trade for sure. So loving what I'm seeing across the board as far as Bitcoin and ETH just leading the way along with Solana. And that's just a healthy market. I've talked about this before, but what you want to see in a Bitcoin and crypto bull run is you want to see Bitcoin lead. You want to see that take the lead first. Then you want to see Bitcoin either pause or consolidate, and you want to see that liquidity flow into ETH, and you want to see ETH move next. And then once ETH moves and starts to go in a run, you want to see that liquidity flow into the rest of your altcoin market. And that's exactly what we're seeing. And I think this is a recipe for at least the starts of a healthy 6 months at least of crypto bull market price action.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, man, is it's time. It's time. It's there shouldn't be any more major shakeouts. We are leaving a range that we've been in for 250 days. And the next markup should start right now. We should kind of gap and go, and I think it's probably a next week thing because obviously this week we had the US presidential election and we had FOMC. And now that we have those 2 important events behind us and both went well, at least for markets, we should gap and go. Like this should start this weekend, next week. You should see Bitcoin pushing 80K very, very soon. You should start to see multiple 3 to 5K daily candles back to back to back on Bitcoin. ETH should be, at least over 3,400 here very, very soon. I think we're going to close the month a lot higher, right? And then from there, you kind of get that wealth effect. So I don't know, Tommy, do you think there's really any reason or time for a pullback here besides maybe like a local OI rinse or anything like that? Or should we kind of gap and go in your opinion?
No, Bitcoin should be gapping up really fairly soon, right? Like I think you used the verbiage yesterday, Max, in our post-market check discussion with me, you and Tucker. Like we haven't even had that candle that really breaks us away from the range yet, which is kind of hard to believe. I think we've just become so conditioned to trading at like the current prices for what was it, like 250 days or something absolutely obscene like that we kind of forget what a lockout Bitcoin candle looks like. And for me, that would probably be like a gap up candle into the mid 80s. The type that you're definitely not pulling all the way back. You're probably maybe pulling back like 1 or 2K after that. And then you're just going to continue to grind up and send. I really think that's given where Bitcoin is at in the range in the context of the fact that we've been in an uptrend since August 5th, like that candle should be happening very soon.
Yeah, and I want to show this as an example here. Like here, let me make this for you real quick, because if we're here, we're going to do it the right way. Oops. I don't know why I have Bitcoin, USDT. Like, let's look at it like this. All right, so here's your previous cycle all-time high for Bitcoin. Oops. So give me a second to make this nice and pretty for you guys. So I just want to talk about like kind of this gap and go scenario. So this is last cycle for Bitcoin right here on the left. And then here's where we're at currently. And, you know, we really just should start like gapping. You know what I mean? Like we need to break away, and we need to break away quickly. And I think that we will. But when you finally get through that region, like you just kind of go, right? And once we did it last cycle, you really didn't get a substantial pullback until 100% higher. So I don't know what kind of move I'm expecting here, but I know I'm expecting a big move. And I know that we shouldn't get some like you just shouldn't get like this anymore. You know, like we're past that point. We're past that point. We should continue to climb, you know, maybe do something like this. Then you could get like a local shakeout, and then you should really start that next leg up and break away. In my opinion, it's time. We reaccumulated for, you know, 8 months, and now we're starting to break out. This is when it should really commence, you know, right here.
Max,
Yeah,
I
I can
think
see
you
a
should,
scenario where either we.
I was just going to say, Max, I think you should take a bars pattern from July 5th of 2020 up to April 19th, 2021. So July 5th, 2020 should be the start of where you pull the fractal from.
July 5th, 2020.
Yes. And pull it to the high.
The all-time high of last cycle. Be happy to do that, Tommy.
Tis the season.
It is the season.
It's target season, baby.
I want you to make that a lot bigger.
That's what she said.
Put the July 5th, measure it so that the July 5th part that you pulled lines up with the BlackRock ETF listing.
Like, you talking like this, Tommy?
You got to make it a lot bigger than that. Yeah. You need to zoom out.
Are you serious?
No, it'll make sense when you get it lined up. I promise.
Do I need it in log mode?
No, you don't.
I feel like I have to do log mode.
No log mode.
All right. Like you want this?
Yes.
Oh, I see what you're talking about.
Yeah. Now make it bigger to expand on the thesis a little bit.
Are you thinking like this, Tommy? Something like around here?
More or less.
If it's wrong, direct me.
Can you make it a little bit darker?
No comment, Louis. Oh boy, I see what you're talking about. Right here.
Yes.
Like this. Oh my gosh.
Correct.
Wow, look at that.
I know.
Tommy, you're a moon boy. I had no idea.
I think this is the most optimistic case, quite frankly. And why
Tommy.
You should be getting a gap up candle within like a week, or else you're invalidating the pattern. And I don't think you're invalidating the pattern. You can even line up the ETH's DeFi summer drop on this as well. I think that's less plausible for where Bitcoin is, but in general, I mean, it lines up pretty good.
Do you realize how euphoric we would be if this happened, man?
No, I know. It's like no pullbacks ever, but
I mean, this would be so painful though. Think about like a pullback from 400K down to 250. People would be in shambles. Oh my God, Tommy. Dude, this would be so much fun. No one owns enough Bitcoin for this.
And that would also mean that you don't really have like a true alt season until probably like the second half of next year. But you'll have like probably a bunch of little mini alt cycles until that happens.
I mean, bro, think if Bitcoin did this, one, it would reach parity with gold's market cap if it did this, assuming gold stays under 3K. So Bitcoin and gold would trade at pretty similar market caps. And I'm thinking about what ETH would do, Tommy. Like, imagine Bitcoin does this and ETH BTC valuation even goes to like 0.07, right? So it'd be 600K times 0.07. That's a $40,000 ETH, Tommy. I don't know, bro. You think so?
I mean, I don't know if I can get on board with the ETH valuation, but the Bitcoin one, yeah, I can get on
Okay,
board.
but let's think about the ETH BTC valuation, right? So ignore your prejudice against ETH. If you think something like this, like a 300 to 500K conservatively, Bitcoin is on the table. Look at the ETH BTC pair. I feel like it should at least get to 0.06. That's nothing. It's not even a 2x.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure ETH will do well. But the question is, if Bitcoin's going that high, are you holding ETH over SOL? And I mean, I think there's a decent case to be made there either way, right? Because obviously SOL's marked up a lot from it's a lot higher up in its market structure than ETH. So I think you could make maybe a decent case that SOL could outperform ETH, or that ETH could outperform SOL simply as a catch up. But I'm a little less certain on that. I kind of think that I kind of feel like ETH will underperform until Bitcoin is near the conclusion of its move, right? Like maybe Bitcoin's trading above 500K before we really start to see ETH outperform.
Yeah.
I mean, bro, looking at this, like, do you realize what would happen to like Pepe if this happened?
See, I don't know. I feel like if Bitcoin's moving like this, like, is it just going to suck all the liquidity out of the crypto market and just like, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure stuff will get dragged up, but at a point where like, if we go from 70K to what's that first local top, like 275K in like 6 months, like, are people even going to be bidding altcoins? Like,
fuck yeah, they will, bro. Oh my gosh, they'll be bidding so hard. Imagine this were to happen. Okay, imagine this happens, and at the same time, we see this. Like, imagine that. I don't even know. Like, here's the thing. It always seems crazy until it happens.
yeah.
But imagine that this pattern plays out again. All right. Imagine Bitcoin does this and others' dominance does this pattern. Like, imagine others like, imagine this. So Bitcoin does the Tommy fractal and others' dominance goes up here. Bro. I don't even know what to say. I don't know if I can. I mean, dude, the amount of people taking profit on Bitcoin at like 120K just for it to do this would be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm very much not one of the people that I honestly think it's absurd to be calling a top on Bitcoin at like 120 or 130K, quite frankly.
Can you walk me through why that is?
like I kind of think the diminishing returns aspect is a total meme. You know, if Bitcoin is, unless you just think crypto's market cap is going to top out at like 4 or 5 billion total this cycle, I think that's just way too conservative of a target. You're either not breaking the range, or you're breaking the range and you are going up way higher than people can imagine, in my opinion. And I think the backdrop for like ceilings of this cycle has changed largely because of what happened this week. But hey, you know, maybe I'm just a moon boy for saying that. I definitely don't think I'm the type to moon boy, but yeah, no, I cannot get on board with like the 120 to 130K top, because I don't think the market's topping in like Q1 of next year. You know, if we're topping in like March or April of next year cyclically, then like, sure, maybe that's the top, but I don't think that either of those statements are true.
I can see a local top there.
Yeah, no, I mean, we have the Bitcoin conference around that time.
Yeah.
I could also see a local top there, but I guess it just depends. You know,
it's gonna be a tough hold, because like even if we're pushing 200 something thousand Bitcoin, even now I'm just gonna be like, all right, like we're getting frothy here, you know, like. But I mean, that's like bull markets can be a lot harder than bear markets. Like trying to hold on for an entire cycle is not easy to do. It's very not easy, if that makes sense. But I mean, that would be great. I'd love it. What's that? Where does that take us? Up to 600K, something like that?
I mean,
yeah, I think it does.
So almost a 10x.
And again, this is a scenario where we're getting our breakaway candle within like a week or two, right? Like if you don't have that breakaway candle, you can throw the scenario out. And maybe I was just moon boying on market check, but I think there are a lot of structural resemblances between where Bitcoin is right now and obviously the period that we pulled from. And I've seen GCR as well compare kind of what we just came out of to DeFi summer, which is kind of what put the idea in my head initially. So that is something that I've kind of been watching over the last few days.
So let's assume this, right? We've got the previous 2 cycles right here, and then we've got our current cycle. Right now, and I mean, even earlier, we were kind of splitting the difference between the previous 2 cycles. Imagine if we didn't have diminishing returns and we split the difference between the previous 2 cycles. That would, in theory, take you up to kind of that target, Tommy, like comparing it to the previous 2 cycles. If you just look at this, like imagine we did this. That's your target, right?
I could totally see that happening when you put it in that way, because I definitely think we could definitely surpass what we did last cycle. I think last cycle was somewhat of a muted cycle, whether it was due to COVID or whatnot. Like we didn't get our blow off top. And I think that's why we got our kind of double top scenario, was because it was kind of cut a little short. Not as far as timing, but, I think COVID dragging us down right before the bull run started so much took some wind out of the sails. Not when we had a great cycle, but I think if we didn't have that COVID drop, we could have went a lot higher than 69. Maybe we could have hit 100K last cycle. So I could definitely see us surpassing, what we did in 2021 and something more similar to what we saw in 2017, especially with what we're seeing. So, I mean, put it that way, it's not so crazy when you really think about it.
It's hard to imagine before it happens. It's like,
yeah.
I mean, look at this, right? Look at this. How many people last cycle when Bitcoin was down at, 3K to 6K, down in this region? Like, how many people really would have believed that within 18 months you would have gone from under 5K to 70K in like a year and a half? It's hard to imagine.
Yeah.
Right. And then it does, so it's like, how many people right now are struggling to wrap their head around the idea of us going from 70K to 300K. It seems crazy until it happens, and then you're just like, oh, of course that happened. You know, it makes perfect sense.
I think my only question is who's going to be our master of ceremonies. You know, like who's going to be the one to do the things that need to be done to boost Bitcoin and altcoins to unspeakable heights? Because obviously last cycle we had 3AC, we had Grayscale is actually the first person who broke us out of all-time high. And then you had entities, like I said, like 3AC and FTX and Alameda.
Well, Tommy, you have, since Trump got elected and will be taking office, you've had multiple days back-to-back of billion-dollar Bitcoin ETF inflows, right? I think the answer is in front of us, right? Never before have we had the accessibility directly to, you know, get direct exposure to spot Bitcoin through a dozen, you know, very easy legacy on-ramps. Like, you can go to your broker and buy Bitcoin now. And I mean, I think that's the answer, right? It's not going to be degenerate crypto hedge funds. It's going to be multi-trillion-dollar institutions. We talked about this the other day, how if you really think about it, the total crypto market cap right now is 2.5 trillion. It's right here. This is total. All right. If we just go over to stocks and we look at, you know, so remember this number, 2.5 trillion is total right now. Let's look at NVIDIA, one mega cap tech company. It's worth 3.6 trillion, right? Microsoft, 3.15 trillion. Meta, 1.5 trillion. Google, 2.2 trillion. Amazon, 2.2 trillion. Apple, 3.43 trillion. Like, the amount of money that it would take to move total up 10x is literally nothing. It's like a joke, right? Total is not even worth, like, I mean, it's not even worth as much as the biggest tech companies in the world, like all of crypto. If you really think about it like that, then the fractal that Tommy was suggesting is possible. Doesn't seem that unlikely. You know, why could we not, like, why could total not be worth 20 trillion? The entire asset class, you know?
I don't know why people think that Bitcoin can't reach unspeakable heights, right? Because of what you just said, Max. And think about how much volume is done on something like NVIDIA and how much to the total market cap of NVIDIA was added in an overnight session. And tell me that you don't think that Bitcoin can do the same. I think the question for me, when I talk about like funds doing the deeds that we need them to do, it's less so concerning something like Bitcoin and ETH and more so concerning the assets that don't have that institutional avenue to be bid yet, right? Like I do expect this to change to a large degree when Trump gets inaugurated, because we've talked about this. Like, it's very, under the current administration, it's been very difficult to bring new native liquidity into crypto because they've partially debanked us to an extent. We need to see that change to raise these altcoin ceilings. I have no doubt Bitcoin is on a straight trajectory, you know, towards higher prices in an inevitable timeline. But like, altcoins need that liquidity, and you can pump Bitcoin, but altcoins still need that liquidity. And the other asset I'll point to that probably needs to pump for these altcoins is BNB. Because one thing that we saw, I think you need to kind of understand, like, collateralization, right? When you have people on exchanges that are longing on perps, they're not all explicitly longing with dollars. They're longing with coins because it gives them an added convexity to the upside, that higher sensitivity to change, where if you're long a coin, or if you own a coin and you're using that as collateral to long another coin, you're basically printing on two things at once. That was something that we had a ton of in the last cycle. We talk about altcoin margin collateral in the last cycle, how important that was to the price appreciation of Bitcoin. But having that ability to cross margin on your spot assets and then buy other coins with that collateral, like that's a huge reason why crypto has always been able to appreciate. So adding vehicles like that, and I think the best, or at least most notable way to do that in the current cycle is going to be BNB, because when BNB goes up, just like with Bitcoin, people use BNB as collateral to long other coins. And who holds the most BNB but Binance? Yeah. So altcoins tend to go up a lot after BNB has made its move. And I think because of that, BNB is a very important chart to be looking at.
I mean, why not? Look at this. How's a $5,800 BNB sound, guys? Sound okay to you?
I don't know if we get up there, but like maybe.
Why wouldn't BNB 10x?
Definitely could.
Someone much better at trading than me once said that the next bull market would originate from Asia. Here's your Chinese collateral.
I mean, that's probably where a lot of the altcoin liquidity will come from. They're stimulating, aren't they? Retail, probably smart to stick in Chinese avenues for altcoins going forward. But I would be studying the coins that kind of have some structure on a lower time frame that's starting to resemble something like BNB a little bit. Those are going to be the coins that probably go up the most when BNB does. I think of one in particular, at least for the last like few days, is Pepe. Pepe looks a lot like BNB. When you kind of zoom more into the range, it looks like a Binance coin now. You probably have to zoom in a little bit more than that. I more so mean the structure of like the past 6 weeks.
I mean, yes, I will do that, but I want to do this too. I want to remind everybody about the prophecy.
Yes. This is what the people want.
I will remind you of the prophecy right now. You find it.
But I think that the main takeaway I want people to get from what we've been discussing is that I do think we're very early to the current cycle still. Like people are discussing cyclical tops, comparing it to 2008. Crypto's about to enter a super cycle, man. Like that's not a meme.
Yeah.
We are in, I still think we're somewhere in 2020. Like we haven't even hit 2021 yet.
Yeah. No, yeah, we hit it when we hit 2025. You know, like last cycle started like end of 2020, November, December, and then January came around, and then you had another 6 to 9 months of just crazy bullish price action. That's something I've said before too, where I think, you know, the bullishness can go on a lot longer than people expect. And it's not talking as a moon boy. That's just saying, well, guess what? Because I know we're coming out of a bear market, so that's a lot of people are new, so that's all they know. So it's like, oh, people are too bullish, I'm going to fade that. Like, no, like that's not how it works in a bull market. Sure, maybe in a ranging environment, yeah, people get bullish at range highs, you short it, goes back to range lows, happens over and over and over again, and then like you're like, oh, okay, so now when I see people get too bullish, you know, that automatically means price is probably going to break down. Where in 2020, if you were around for 2020, like people were bullish all of the end of 2020, all of 2021, and people didn't realize it was a bear market up until like, you know, late 2022. So the bullishness can last for a lot longer than people can think, and things can go a lot higher than people think. And that's why I always say I think bull markets are actually tougher than bear markets. And you'll learn to realize that because, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have experienced it over the last couple of days, but I'm sure people are feeling FOMO right now. FOMO is way stronger than fear, in my opinion. FOMO makes you, you know, feel like you could be fully allocated to the crypto market and still feel FOMO, like you don't have enough crypto. Like it's just extremely a powerful emotion, and it could drive you to do silly things and make bad decisions. You know, and there's going to be a lot of distractions, a lot of stuff going up. Well, you know, you feel like you're missing out. It's a very it's a very fruitful environment, but it's also a very dangerous environment. But at the end of the day, it could last very, very long. And people just going to have to get used to dealing with that FOMO feeling, and just, learn how to ride the wave and be patient, because it's tough. It's not easy to do.
I mean,
Man, I was just thinking about if BNB is trading that high, where's Hyperliquid trading? It made me kind of euphoric.
Oh man, I never claimed my Hyperliquids. Am I too late?
No, you need to do that though ASAP. I'll talk to you about it after we.
Yeah, you got to send me that link again, because I got to. Yeah.
No, I'll help you through it.
Thank you.
I'm just thinking, like, what if I'm wrong on my cyclical target for Pepe? Because
I feel
What
like
do you mean?
Your 60 million is, or billion is
too low.
I don't know about that, but
I'm gonna learn today. You gonna learn, Tommy. Because if we look at things in terms of, like, as they're related to Bitcoin, I'm just thinking about it, like what if this is where we're at, Like, what if we're here, because it's like, this was the Bitcoin kind of like, it's breaking all-time high here. Like, what if this is where Pepe's at, I'm just saying, if we want to relate it to Bitcoin, then, I'm off. Because Doge didn't start to move until Bitcoin really went into price discovery. It's like this. What if I'm wrong? What if I'm too bearish? Is it possible?
I don't think it matters. I think you're going to be very wealthy regardless. One thing about Doge, which I've looked at in the past, is I think Doge would have probably topped at that purple dot if it wasn't for, I mean, this is speculation, of course, but I think if it wasn't for the Elon SNL second leg, that kind of rallied that second leg, I probably think that Doge probably would have topped at that purple circle. Because if you actually look at the volume, a majority of the volume came on that pump up to the purple dot, and then that second leg, it was kind of more or less, I mean, it was a big move, but it was more or less a manipulation move in my opinion, because there wasn't as much volume, but you had more retail kind of coming in and pushing it higher with the Elon buzz. But that's just my thoughts. So I don't know.
Brighter times ahead, I guess.
Regardless. But
I mean, my plan is just stay long as hell until I see some reason to get sidelined, and I just don't see it here. So, I mean, Tommy, if you're right and we're still in 2020, then next year is going to be unbelievable.
I'm like very certain we're still somewhere in 2020. Like very, very certain. It's going to get so much crazier over the next few years. I just have so much like confluence with the multi-year cycle theory at this point. Like I do not think that it's funny because people think that, 4-year cycle, great. I think it's a great framework to work off of if you're getting into like cyclicality in general, but I also don't think that you can just, now that TradFi and more sophisticated entities are in the market and are going to make it more efficient, I don't think you're going to have the same 4-year up and down, super inefficient pricing in the same way. Like, I don't know why people would think with more sophisticated actors that it's going to play out the exact same way. It's either going to undershoot or overshoot. I don't really see much in between. And it's like you said, Max, it's like you have TradFi now bidding, or these wealth management funds now, these ETFs, whatever they are, bidding Bitcoin. They have a mandate too. And they're also, we talk about crypto degens, but people in TradFi are even more degenerate than the people in crypto. They just don't have shit coins to be able to express it.
Yeah, way more.
But I might have moonboyed a little bit too hard on this stream, I will say.
I don't think you are, man.
I mean, I've learned a long time ago it's never a good idea to say never when it comes to markets, right? And that's both ways, to the downside as well as to the upside. But I mean, Tommy, don't we normally see that? I know 4-year cycle as far as Bitcoin goes, you could say it's the halving, you could say it's the election, but don't we also see that cyclicality in legacy markets as well? It's not just crypto.
4 years?
Yeah.
Or you just mean like liquidity? I mean, it's all tethered to liquidity.
Yeah.
Day, right?
So, I mean, we do see, regardless of crypto, we do see that 4-year cyclicality as far as liquidity is concerned. And you do kind of see that kind of reflected in equities as well. So you don't think that would have an effect?
I mean, it's like you said, cyclicality exists for a reason. It's not just like a witch has I don't want to like overcomplicate it. It's tied to liquidity at the end of the day. And I just think the backdrop of what we are going to get throughout this presidency, the only exception to this would be if Elon really does just completely nuke government spending. I don't really think that's going to happen, but it is a populist agenda, and they have a full mandate now to make that agenda happen. So they're going to be spending money, and they're going to be doing policies specifically that seem like they're going to be putting money back in other people's pockets, but also make it easier for wealth management funds and TradFi to probably borrow, et cetera, commit crime. I don't know. I think that you have to respect cyclicality to an extent, but I think framing the cycle as rigidly with a 4-year cycle is almost kind of like you're kind of setting yourself up to sell, like I said, either way too soon or way too late. Yeah.
So no like blow off top, 70-80% drawdown, 2-year bear market. That, I mean, well, I would have to agree.
we might still get that.
You never know, and that's why it's kind of like these things are good to use as a tool to kind of guide you. But there's no end all be all with anything in markets, and I don't care what it is. There really isn't. You kind of have to take a pool of things and put it all together and try to come up with a thesis and a strategy. But there's no one end all be all type strategy, which is basically the point we're trying to make is, yes, that's happened in the past, but if you're just going to be like, this has happened in the past, it's going to happen exactly the same way, you could really hurt yourself in the markets just thinking that narrowly, for sure.
I think you need a flexible framework.
Yeah.
Like if your expectation is that this is going to be the biggest cycle crypto's ever had, you really need a flexible framework, because you're probably going to be seeing things that we haven't seen in previous cycles. And to be benchmarking yourself too much, you almost kind of handicap yourself, right? Like I think looking at man, I'm going to make a fool of myself saying this, but like I talk about how much I hate log. You almost have to compare by rate of change rather than just explicit price, if that makes sense. That's why I think log is important for Bitcoin and crypto price appreciation. But I always like to chart linear, so I have to be careful saying that.
I hate linear, bro.
I am a linear respecter as well. I'm mostly linear, but it might be that time of the cycle where you got to turn the loggles back on. Yeah, I mean that's definitely could be a possibility. when you're looking at targets. This is an exponential asset class. So, what are you cooking up over here, Max?
It's called Destiny, Louis. Google it.
I do think that based on what happened this week, it's only a matter of when, not if, we get the breakout. But does it happen next week? Obviously, that would be preferred. We'll see. But it is a matter of when, not if.
7,000%.
You wouldn't get it.
You wouldn't get it.
You wouldn't understand.
We will see.
Yeah, we will see. We will see, and then you'll never see me again, is the problem.
We will see, and then we will not see.
Dude, I'm fucking gung-ho, pedal to the metal. I didn't work my ass off for half a decade to position myself for this shit, to not literally leave it all out on the court.
Yeah.
This is it. You can't fight fate. This is destiny. But you wouldn't believe it.
I was going to ask before you, how long was that first initial pump on Doge? Like from the, basically the base to that purple dot? Like how long did that take? Was that like a couple weeks?
The timing is like kind of all cocked up, but
it's what?
Yes. Yes. Are you talking about this, Louis?
Yeah, that first pump from like when it left its range and then hit that first peak at the purple. Like how long did that pump take?
Where do you want me to start from? Right here?
Right there, from the breakout. Yeah. A month and a half?
I mean, bro, when Doge and all this, when this stuff starts going, like it happens quick, you know?
That it does. And that's something we've been saying a long time. Like the people that were calling for sweeping the lows, or like they think they have all this time to accumulate. But once things get going in this market and you're not positioned, you're going to be chasing. You're definitely going to be chasing.
Dude, I can't wait any longer. I'm so excited.
We did get some super chats. See a lot of the base Pepe boys are in the audience today. Shout out to you guys. I could try to chart that later. Dope channel. Great work. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't like to have the loggles on, but
I live with loggles on. I had LASIK eye surgery to install permanent loggles. You understand?
If Bitcoin is about to aggressively enter price discovery, then it is log season.
If you don't own Andy here, you're not gonna make it, man. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, it's happening. It's happening. It's gonna be so epic. It's gonna be so epic, man. It's gonna be. It's gonna be unbelievable. Just gonna cry. That's it.
Oh my god. What else do you guys want to look at today? Now that we fully Moon Boy posted to
Louis, you got a chart up. Go for it, man.
Yes, sir. We got a lot of base Pepe army in the chat today. So what's up? And yeah, let's talk about it. Base Pepe once again making fresh all-time highs. You love to see it. I was actually doing the math this morning. So basically from my initial call on this is up 75x from when I called it in the Discord. So that's just another reason to get in the Discord. Seriously. Just, beautiful price action. And I even let the Discord know, when was this? Monday of this week. I was like, this right here. I was like, this is where you shove if you are not on board yet, right? And why did I say that? Well, because every single time we make new highs, we come back, we retest demand, and then we launch again, right? You made new highs, you come back, you retest the old demand, and you go. And once again, we have done the same thing. And now we are, pushing 25 mil market cap. So beautiful, beautiful price action. Congrats to any that have been riding this with us. It's been it's really trading like it's going to be one of the top tokens on Base Chain, because Base Chain has been lagging a bit, right, compared to Solana and even ETH tokens, right? But I do believe that Base Chain is gonna catch a bid eventually, and I think that's probably going to be middle to later in this cycle, just because I believe that Base Chain is going to be used more by the normies, right? By the late entrants to the market. When things get frothy, they pull out their old Coinbase apps, right? They blow the dust off it, and then Coinbase kind of funnels them in onto Base Chain, where they could gamble and invest on low cap meme coins without them even realizing that they're on chain. They don't have to download another extension. They don't have to make a new wallet. They'll probably just have direct access to that via Coinbase or Coinbase wallet. So I really am bullish on Base. And this has been an extreme outperformer as far as Base goes. And we caught this at $300 and something thousand market cap. So, pushing 25 mil, just an absolute outperformer. These are linear fib extensions, right? Now that we are breaking our old all-time high and pushing here, I think, just locally for your next target, I think anywhere between, the 3618 and the 1618, anywhere in this area. I know it's a big area of price, but I think anywhere in here is up for grabs, in my opinion. And I say that because I compare it to something like a Popcat, where, let me find the Popcat chart, where you're kind of seeing similar price action, where you have like three highs, basically what we've seen, right? You have your a one high, a second high, a third high, all kind of along an uptrend, exactly how Base Pepe is trading right now. And then on your fourth new high, you really start to extend and push past, this type of this area of the chart, and you start to go into, a more, vicious price discovery. So I could see, Base Pepe doing something like this and following this kind of playbook, where you do get, a solid 100 or almost 100% extension off of the old all-time highs. So, and that for Base Pepe would be anywhere in that 1618 to 3618 area on linear for local targets, right? Talking, full market, like full end of bull market price prediction. Who knows? I think this is definitely something that can go to 100 mil for sure. The way it's been performing, the way it was launched. So, it's just kind of a wait and see thing. But, I saw we got the super chat, so just wanted to bring that up and just give you guys updates on that, and just, another reason to get in the Discord to catch plays like this. We're hitting plays like this nonstop, whether it's me, Wabi, Max, Will, Jackus, Tommy, Tucker. Like, this is what you're gonna get, with the BB Discord, versus just coming and watching the show. I also wanted to look at altcoin market cap. We've been watching this chart for a while, and we are finally starting to break away from this consolidation that we've been basically in since March of this year. So basically, most of this year, we've been consolidating or like basically putting in a nice falling wedge. And we are now starting to put in a breakout or a breakaway from this consolidation where historically, if looking back at last cycle, or at least 2017, right, or 2020, I think if I had to guess at where we were, I think we're in this area, right, where you really you have your first run up out of the lows, you consolidate, and then you go on a face ripping rally where altcoins go crazy and everyone's euphoric. And that's where I would say we're at now, right? We came out of our base, we had our first run up, we had our consolidation, and now we are ready to challenge, 2021 old all-time highs. And historically, we break that, right? We break higher than that to the upside. Last cycle, we broke, over 3x of what we did in 2017. So, something like that is definitely on the table for this cycle, especially if we experience something that like we were talking about earlier in the show. So, I mean, for altcoin market cap as a whole, I think anywhere from 2 to 3 trillion market cap is on the table if this can start to rally and break away like we've seen in previous cycles. So just something I wanted to touch on, something different. But yeah, I mean, things are looking great across the board. Do we see local pullbacks maybe this today going into the weekend? Yeah, it's possible, right? It's definitely possible. Looking at Bitcoin here on the daily.
I think given the way that liquidity is trending into majors, if you do get any dips, you're going to get some really fantastic entries potentially on altcoins.
Oh yeah,
I can identify a few ones that have been really weak, in particular against majors. And if Bitcoin sneezes at all, like even 2 to 3K, they're probably going to dump really hard. Something like a whiff, for example, has been lagging the rest of the market for a few days now.
Yeah, here's whiff.
I think whiff just got listed on Kraken, didn't it?
Did it?
Pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, you could be doing something like this, right?
I think that could come down a pretty good bit. If Bitcoin sneezes like that could take a hit. But
yeah, I mean, that's why I'm kind of like right now, like not that we're like we were just saying we're so early in this cycle, but locally, right? People are getting overly excited, probably longing their longs, chasing stuff. Like normally, in times like this, you see that quick OI wipe across the board locally. Maybe, like you'll see it on the hourly or the 3 hour, where Bitcoin can just do something like this. And then a move like this will send alts into a deep pullback, right? Which will easily be bought up quickly, in my opinion. And we're definitely in that part of the cycle where, alts are, any pullbacks are for buying. I mean, I've been saying that for the past couple months, but we're really in the time where pullbacks are for buying, and the pullbacks will be quicker, right? They're going to be quicker. They're not going to be as long and drawn out. These are going to be quick pullbacks. They could happen on the hourly where you get an hourly candle and then the next hourly, it's a wick. It's all wick and it's all bought up in 1 hour. You could have it done in a day, right? But, we're getting into that part of the cycle where things move very quick. And having bid sets, low ball bids or, to get bought on pullbacks or having your alert set is something where if that alerts get hit, you just bid, right? Especially if you're playing spot, you just buy, right? Max was saying this yesterday on the Discord call, and I really did agree with him where if you're trading spot, right, and you have, let's say you want to get an entry on Bitcoin, right, and you really like this level, right? You really like this level, it comes down, you'd fill all this inefficiency on the hourly, and you'd come down and then you could go, right? But you really like this level and you want to get in at 69.8. But let's say price comes here and then goes. Like if price is coming close enough to your entry or to your level that you like, you should start buying, right? You shouldn't be waiting for that exact tick, because in these markets, you will get left behind. So just not being so surgical with it. I mean, if you're trading leverage, that's one thing. But, trading spot, you're not going to care whether you bought here or you bought here when we're all the way up here. You got what I'm saying? And Max, explained that beautifully yesterday. And I really liked that point where if you're looking for spot entries, don't be picky. Nothing's precise. It's all a price area. So, just starting to DCA when you're getting close to your price levels I think is a very important thing to note and to take action on, moving forward.
If you're trading perps, you should totally long right here at 76K. You totally won't get washed out.
Yeah.
Don't believe his lies.
I'm literally being sarcastic. Please, nobody take that literally.
Yeah, I mean, I make fun of bear divs during a bull market, but locally we could see a little pullback, right? But nothing's guaranteed. I mean, realistically, I could see something like this playing out. I got drawings all over now, but something like where we broke out of this range. This was a long, extremely long range that we were in. We broke out. We got a breakout candle, and we never got the perfect pullback. Everyone was waiting for the breakout, the throwback, and then the continuation. We broke out, and then we just bull chopped for literally almost a month, and then we got another leg. Like, that's something that I could see playing out on Bitcoin over the next couple of weeks, where we just continue to catch a bid, bull chop. I mean, within that move, you can get, swings where you get an hourly candle where Bitcoin drops 2%, but it's going to get bought back up quick. Alts will swing viciously in both directions. And then eventually, everything results to the upside. So I would just be prepared for price action like that, where, basically, you don't get this perfect pullback and then go, which is a possibility, right? But I'm more in the camp where you get a short-term one, but it's more like this, and you bull chop, and then we just continue to churn higher. Because from what we're seeing on the Bitcoin ETFs, like, the bid is big and it is there. And I'm pretty sure BlackRock Bitcoin ETF has already surpassed the gold ETF in less than a year, which is pretty wild, if you ask me.
Dude, I'm so excited. I just can't contain myself.
Oh, my computer's gotta die. Yeah.
Max, if someone started today and wanted to invest in Andy and Wolf, where would you look for an entry in the chart? Let's talk about it.
Sweaty nachos. I always think that's like Doritos' alter ego when I see the profile picture.
Could be. I think if you got a flush down on ETH, then you'd probably see Andy come back into this region. Here, I'll add Wolf up here too.
You got to share screen.
Oh, oops. Let's look at some charts together here. So here's Wolf. Here's ETH. So here, I'll label these just so no one forgets. Andy, Wolf, ETH. I would say that if ETH came back into this level, then you'd probably get this right here. So on Wolf, that would maybe be that's your level. So if ETH came back into 2732-ish, roughly, then you could maybe see these levels across the board.
I think for ETH, what you want to see is the price action akin to what Bitcoin did in the back half of October last year.
Can you show me?
I mean, I can.
I would love to see it. I love a Tommy chart.
Yeah, we can look at Bitcoin and ETH real quick. Let me pull it up. Just do it briefly. But yeah, I mean, I think what you want to be seeing on ETH is a lot like this, right? You had the long-term range, slowly building value, churning higher. You know, whether we're here or whether we're here, I'm sure you could debate. But in general, I think you just kind of want to see this trend continue, right? So re-entering the range on ETH should not be happening.
No, not even close.
You know, you shouldn't be re-entering this range if you're expecting ETH to break out. And like I said, follow this kind of this path. I'm sure we could overlay it. I don't know how clean it will be, but like.
See, my only concern is that we have a lot of supply right overhead. Not that we can't smash through it, but
Kind of clean, Tommy. Sorry, Louis. That's actually really clean.
No, it is. Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see something like that happening. It's just
like you should maybe get one OI rinse down to like 2790, 2750.
Yeah.
And then you should just gap and go, you know, like next week.
That's kind of why I closed my longs last night. I was like, I know this could just smash into the range and just chad and just meat stick, but at the same time, I was like, I feel like we could do like a 2 to 3% like pullback before doing that. So as far as leverage goes, I just want to take them profits.
I mean, this would be perfectly healthy. But I think if you're accepting back within this range, it paints suddenly a very different picture. So you would like to see this continue. In my opinion, I'd like to see this continue to grind up while Bitcoin outperforms.
Yeah.
And then Bitcoin's probably giving a huge move here, and then ETH catches up, obviously, a day or two later. That would be probably what my expectation would be. But
yeah, I can see a pullback to 27. 27.5.
What does this comment even mean?
Tommy always looks like he just came back. I'm genuinely confused.
I'm from Alabama, and my wife's family's from Louisiana, so we do love our fish fry.
Catfish?
He knew.
Catfish?
Dude, I mean, it's just you just get that little pullback. You got to take it, man. You just got to take it.
For buying, people.
We are. If there was ever a time, it is now, right? The stage has been set perfectly.
It's time for the. Did you buy the Dipanon?
Yeah. All those boys will come back out.
Did you buy the dip?
But I kind of think back to like Tommy, something you always say. I think it's important to highlight this. If the trend is that strong, you typically don't get the perfect pullback.
No.
And we'll see if we get perfect pullbacks. But when you start trending, you just have to take it. You just have to take what the market gives you. And I can't help but think like a lot of people think that perfect pullback on ETH is 250 points lower. I don't know if you're going to get it. If this is the start of a new trend, you shouldn't get it, hypothetically.
Yeah. Just got to respect.
I just think perps at range highs are a dangerous game, man.
Yeah,
dangerous game.
Yeah,
if you're trying to play it on leverage, like you are playing a very dangerous game here.
Spot.
But I think it's the flip side of that too. If you do get a pullback to like what 2750, if it comes, you got a pretty tight validation to work with too.
Right here, like I think this is your spot, right? This would, and it's not, you're not even really running any lows other than this one, but I think a quick move like this could rinse a lot of people. You reject that, you're at resistance, you reject, and then you go. I think that's definitely something we could see. But nothing's guaranteed, right? You could just continue bull chopping higher and just smash into this range and go from range lows to range highs in a candle like we did here, right? Like we did range lows to range highs in almost one fucking daily candle. Like but I mean, for me, and this is because I was in a leverage. I mean, spot has nothing. Like I have not touched any spot positions, right? But from logging down here and getting 2 daily meat sticks to the upside back to back, like that's not very common for leverage trades. So when you get lucky like that, it's wise to take profits. But we are coming into the underside of major supply, right? Major supply. So to expect a pullback, either to regather strength and go, it is it makes sense. But pullbacks are going to be quick, like I've been saying. Just be prepared. Just be ready. Be on the buttons.
Oh, we'll be on the buttons.
It's no sleep season.
The boys live on the buttons.
Yeah, I like this here. I like this level. Got this inefficiency right here. We run this local low. I guarantee there's how many stop losses do you think are under this low here, Tommy? Probably a lot.
Oh, a lot.
Yeah.
Dude, Bybit long the crap out of basically that impulse candle. I was looking at it yesterday.
Yeah, so that's kind of why I closed last night up here. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, it was funny watching the Bybit OI because we were already probably about like 10, 12% off the low, and then you see just Bybit open interest just shoot straight up.
Yeah.
You can always count on Bybit, can't you?
Yeah. I would love, though, for that signal to come back. Bybit degens being faded. I kind of think the Bybit of this cycle is going to be Hyperliquid. So getting derivative data from them is going to be, I think, a pretty nice little edge, because I don't know if you remember, Max, back in like the end of 2022 and the beginning of 2023, we used GMX, which was the biggest DEX at the time, or at least the hottest narrative among DEXs. We used that as our fade. So we knew if funding on GMX was way too hot, or if the open interest, because it pulls from a pool. It's not the same as an exchange. So longs and shorts are never 50-50. On GMX, you could have like a 90% skew longs on GMX, and it was always a great fade. But I kind of feel like Hyperliquid will be the retail degen exchange of choice for this cycle.
Yeah, I'm enjoying Hyperliquid for sure.
It's a good exchange.
No, it is. It's nice. I've never no qualms about it. The only problem I had with it was when I was first trying to bridge over to Arbitrum. It was taking like 20 to 25 minutes just to move money over to it, but I figured out how to do that a lot quicker. So now there's no problems.
Arbitrum is a terrible chain, objectively.
Yeah.
And Hyperliquid now has, here's a fun fact, guys. Hyperliquid has half of the total USDC from Arbitrum currently on their exchange. So
yeah, I mean, like, who else? What else is people using Arbitrum?
Basically, the only utility of Arbitrum is Hyperliquid.
Literally. Yeah.
And Hyperliquid's going to be its own chain soon, so Arbitrum will soon go to zero.
And on that note, I conclude the show. Tommy, take us out.
Now, we had a lot of fun on the show today, guys. We did some fun Moon Boy posting. We hope that kind of stuff is going to occur for us over the next year. But yeah, let's talk about some products before we officially wrap up the stream. It is Friday. After all, we want to see you off on your weekends. Max has the BB terminal up currently right now, as well as the Discord. We were nice enough to package these two things together for you. Obviously, if you've been tuning in throughout the week, you've seen a lot of what the terminal has to offer, right? Best in class way to be viewing derivatives data, soon on-chain data, and it will be your go-to tool for this cycle, guys. By the end of it, I pretty much guarantee it. We're going to continue to work and make that the best possible product that you can get on the market. And like I said, we were nice enough to package it with our Discord, which, as I've said every day this week, we spend about 4 or 5 hours on call with our subscribers every single day. That is not hyperbolic. Sometimes it's even more than that. But we love it. We love to provide alpha for the community. We love to, I mean, we just love just being participants in markets at the end of the day, right? We're posting our positions and we're giving you our thoughts in real time. So make sure to check that out as well. We've got a kick-ass community in the Discord too. So that's an added bonus that you don't have to pay for, but that is also present, within the Discord. Of course, guys, maybe the terminal isn't for you. Maybe the Discord isn't either, but you still are interested in having the team maybe manage funds for you. We have a solution for you as well, and that is BB Wealth Management. That is an SEC registered hedge fund that is designed to capture the asymmetric history of upside returns in this asset class while also managing the downside risk posed in any financial market. So becoming an LP or an accredited investor is something that interests you. Maybe you want all three, right? Maybe you want the terminal, Discord, and to participate in BBWM. Well, if you're not, because these options are available for you, and we have more information linked in the description below. Of course, we also have BB Academy. You are running out of time to be able to hone your educational base or reach trading mastery before this market truly breaks out and initiates a high time frame uptrend in the way that we're used to seeing from crypto. I highly recommend that you take advantage of a product like this before that happens, so you don't feel like you have to catch up while the market is already trending. But it is truly invaluable, in my opinion, to be able to learn from so many different traders who have been crushing this market throughout the entire bull trend thus far. And if you enjoyed Market Check, we'll be back for another episode. Not tomorrow. What am I saying? It's Saturday morning tomorrow. Monday morning. Monday through Friday, we are live. Typical start time around 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You guys will get to see all of our faces, including Tucker. Well, I guess you don't get to see Jackus's face literally, but you will get to see our little panels or profiles, panels, whatever you want to call them, if you tune in next week. But also, last but not least, make sure to tune in for Market Talk with the legendary King Wabi, especially if you enjoy being in the trenches. He's absolutely crushed that realm over the last few weeks, and his show is live from our Because Bitcoin Twitter account in the afternoons, typically during New York session. So make sure to stay following and subscribe to our Twitter account so you can be notified not just when he scheduled those spaces, but also when he goes live. But that is it from us, guys. We hope that you have a great rest of your Friday, a great rest of your weekend. It has been a crazy week. Like I said at the start of the show, this is the most event-driven week of the year for obvious reasons, but we are finally on the other side of it, and I'm looking forward to the next few weeks with you all. But until then, guys, until next week, thank you again, and as always, stay safe.